My name is Olivia. I had just stepped out of the cab when my father said it. You don't live here anymore. No greeting, no easing into it. Just the sentence, delivered like a decision already made. I stopped where I was, one foot still angled toward the driveway, my hand frozen on the strap of my duffel bag. What? I said. My brother laughed, not awkwardly, not nervously. He laughed like this was something he'd been waiting to say. He took a slow sip from the beer in his hand before answering. We sold it, he said. Try to keep up. Something shifted in my chest, not anger yet, not fear, but the unmistakable pressure of something irreversible. Then the details came in, the duffel's weight pulling into my shoulder, the smell of aircraft fuel still clinging to the fabric, red dust from Okinawa ground into my boots. I hadn't even reached the porch. You sold my house, I said, keeping my voice level. My father crossed his arms, already defensive. Your brother needed help. Family does what it has to do. I looked at him, really looked. What about me? I asked. You weren't here, he replied. You're never here. My brother leaned back in the chair that used to sit in my garage. You bounce around the world. What's one house? I felt the heat rise, fast, sharp, but I didn't let it surface. I should have yelled, should have demanded answers. Instead, I smiled, just enough to make my father narrow his eyes. What's funny? He snapped. I almost said it then, the sentence that would have ended the conversation, but I stopped myself. Before we go further, I said calmly, you should explain how this started. They exchanged a glance, relaxed, confident. They thought the worst part was already over. 3 months earlier, I'd been stationed in Okinawa, halfway through a rotation. Predictable duty, structured days, the kind of calm that only exists because chaos is expected later. I called home once a week. Not because I was lonely, because I checked on what I'd built. The house mattered. It was the one thing in my life that didn't move when everything else did, but the calls had started feeling off. My father always sounded irritated when he answered, like I'd interrupted something. My brother had moved back in again, but there were unfamiliar voices in the background now. Once mid-call, someone shouted, "Did she send it yet?" The line disconnected seconds later. I told myself distance was amplifying nothing into suspicion. 2 weeks before my return, my father sent a text. Call before you come home, no explanation. I tried calling back, voicemail, I let it go. That was the mistake. Back on the porch, my brother crushed his empty can. Dad had power of attorney, he said. It was easy, power of attorney. I nodded once, so that's how you justified it. My father stiffened. What's that supposed to mean? You sold it 3 weeks ago, I said, didn't you? The pause was short, but it was there. Yes, he said. And it was the right decision. For who? For your brother. There it was. You didn't call me, I said. You were overseas, he snapped. I called every week, my brother groaned. Here we go. I turned to him. Did you know? He shrugged. Dad said it was fine. That shrug answered everything. I stepped off the porch and looked at the house. Same siding, same hedges, same flagpole I'd installed myself. It didn't feel like mine anymore. Behind me, my father said, the money's gone. His debt is handled. Debt, that word carried weight. What kind? I asked. Silence. I nodded slowly. The picture was finishing itself. The front door opened. A woman stepped out, early 30s, blonde. Holding a mug with both hands, she stopped when she saw us, a small, uncertain laugh slipping out. Oh, I didn't realize. I turned to my father. Who is she? She hesitated. I'm Emily. We just moved in. My father looked away. My brother went still. Did they explain everything? I asked her. Her fingers tightened around the mug. The ceramic clinked softly. Everything about what? That house, I said, isn't in their name. My father snapped. Stop. I raised a hand. Let me finish. Emily looked between us now. Confusion had sharpened into concern. I saw the paperwork, she said. It looked official. I'm sure it did, I replied. Rushed paperwork often does. Her brow creased. Rushed when you bought the house, I asked. Was a lawyer present? She shook her head. They said it wasn't necessary. That told me enough. I'm sorry, I said, keeping my voice steady. But you need legal advice immediately. Her voice caught once. Are you saying we don't own it? I'm saying this wasn't just a bad sale, I replied. It likely triggered federal oversight. That word landed differently, federal. My father flinched. You sold her something you didn't own, I said, and you used my deployment to do it. Emily stepped back toward the door, already pulling out her phone. My brother scoffed. You think this scares us? I picked up my duffel. For your sake, I said to Emily, make the call tonight. She nodded and disappeared inside. You don't have a home, my brother muttered. I stopped at the driveway. That, I said, is what you think. The motel was quiet in the way places are quiet when they expect people to leave quickly. Room 214 smelled faintly of disinfectant. I locked the door, dropped my bag, and sat on the edge of the bed. Only then did my hands shake. Not fear, release. I spread the documents across the desk. loan terms, transfer restrictions, consent requirements. The legal officer in Okinawa had warned me. Power of attorney isn't ownership, he'd said, and deployments don't suspend rights. I opened the sale record, date confirmed. Intermediary Benson. I exhaled slowly, my phone buzzed. Father ignored, brother ignored, doubt crept in anyway. This was my father. If I pushed this forward, there would be no soft ending. I closed my eyes and saw the spare room. The dent in the wall from the night I came home alive, shoulder slamming into drywall because I didn't know where to put everything I'd carried back. They hadn't fixed it. I'd planned to. That ended the doubt. I called the legal officer. He listened. Then said, document everything. After that, it won't be your call anymore. Is it serious? I asked. It's serious for them. I hung up and started a timeline. Calls, messages, witnesses, Emily's name near the top, victim. Unknown number rang. Emily, she said, my husband's lawyer says there's a problem. Yes, I replied. Thank you, she said quietly. After midnight, I stepped outside. The motel sign flickered. I deleted 7 missed calls without listening. By morning, the lender would know. By afternoon, the transaction would be flagged. After that, questions wouldn't be emotional. They'd be procedural. I went back inside. I slept. They thought the sale was finished. They thought the paperwork protected them. They thought family loyalty would bury the truth. They were wrong, because by the end of the week, 3 signatures would be under investigation, and the first call wouldn't be to me. By morning, it no longer belonged to the family. That was the first thing that changed. I knew it before anyone told me, before emails, before calls, because the situation stopped responding to emotion. It stopped reacting to people. It began responding to records. The motel room phone rang at 7:12 a.m. Not my father, not my brother, an unfamiliar number. Mr., the woman said after confirming my identity, this is the loan servicing department. We're calling to verify a transaction. Verification. I sat on the edge of the bed, notebook already open. Yes, I said, go ahead. She asked for dates, authorization, my deployment status at the time of sale. Her voice was calm. Practiced, she wasn't interested in explanations, only alignment. When she finished, there was a pause. Thank you, she said. This file is being escalated. Escalated. That word does not belong to families. It belongs to systems that don't negotiate. By noon, He House wasn't a place anymore. It was a case. I drove past it once, didn't stop, didn't slow down. There was a different lock on the side gate, cheap brass, newly installed. A cardboard moving box sat just inside the garage door, half crushed like it had been dropped and forgotten. The flag was gone. That detail stayed with me longer than it should have. I kept driving. The first consequence didn't hit my brother. It didn't hit my father, it hit quietly. My bank app showed a temporary hold on one account, standard review language, nothing dramatic, still accessible, still mine, but delayed. That was enough. The system doesn't punish first. It slows things down so you notice. My father called 3 times that afternoon, left one voicemail. Come talk to me, he said. His voice sounded thinner. We can still fix this. Fix is the word people use when they believe something is broken but movable. This wasn't broken, it was logged. I didn't call back. Emily's husband called next. He didn't introduce himself emotionally. He introduced himself structurally. My attorney has advised us to vacate the property, he said. We're cooperating fully. That surprised me. You didn't have to move immediately, I said. Yes, he replied. We did. Once lawyers enter, staying becomes exposure. We spoke briefly, carefully. They weren't angry at me. They were afraid of everyone else. That distinction mattered. Before hanging up, he added something small. There was a name on the paperwork that didn't make sense to us at first, he said. Benson, do you know who that is? Yes, I replied. The line went quiet for a second. So does our attorney, he said. The lender called again that evening. This time it wasn't verification, it was notification. The transaction has been flagged, the man said. You may be contacted by additional parties. What kind of parties? I asked. Regulatory, he replied. Possibly investigative. That was the moment the situation passed the point of reversal. You can apologize to people. You cannot apologize to process. My brother showed up at the motel that night. I hadn't told him where I was staying. That told me everything. He knocked like he wanted witnesses. I opened the door but didn't invite him in. You did this, he said immediately. No, I replied. I documented it. He laughed, sharp, brittle. You always do this. You disappear, then come back like you're better than us. I didn't disappear, I said. I deployed, same thing. That word stripped the conversation bare. This was supposed to help, he said. Dad said it would blow over. I studied his face, not fear, not guilt, expectation. You thought the system would side with you, I said. He didn't answer, he didn't have to. My father called later that night. This time I answered. Why didn't you warn me? He asked. Why didn't you say it would go this far? I let the silence stretch. Because it already had, I said. You didn't have to push it, he snapped. I didn't push anything, I replied. I stopped protecting it. I'm your father, he said, and I'm the owner. The line went dead. The letter arrived 2 days later, plain envelope, no threat language. No accusations, requests for statements, timeline confirmation, notice of review. My father's name appeared 3 times, my brother's twice, mine once. I read it carefully, then put it away. That's when I understood something important. This wasn't about punishment, it was about sorting responsibility. And responsibility has weight. Escalation doesn't look loud. It looks like people choosing their words carefully, like calls ending sooner than they used to. Like no one volunteering information anymore. It looks like a house sitting empty. It looks like silence doing the work. The last call of the week came from a number I recognized immediately. Benson, I think we should talk, he said. I didn't answer right away. Yes, I said finally, I think we should. Up to that point, everything had moved on paper, but Benson didn't work on paper. He worked in the spaces people hoped no one would check. And those spaces were about to close. Benson didn't suggest a place. That was the first thing that unsettled me. He just said, I'll text you, and hung up. No calendar invite, no formality, no attempt to sound professional. That alone told me he wasn't operating inside the same systems anymore. The address came 20 minutes later, a coffee shop I'd driven past dozens of times and never noticed. Not a chain, no signage meant to last. The kind of place people forget even while they're inside it. I arrived early, not out of urgency, out of habit. I sat where I could see the door and the counter at the same time, ordered nothing, just waited. The file folder sat on the table in front of me, unopened. Benson was late, not enough to be rude, enough to be deliberate. When he finally walked in, he didn't scan the room, he didn't pause. He came straight to my table like we'd already agreed on everything. You read everything twice, he said, sitting down without asking. That depends, I replied, on who's talking. He smiled faintly. That's fair, he didn't order coffee either. We sat for a moment with nothing between us but space, then he spoke. This got bigger than it was supposed to, not denial, not apology, scope. I didn't authorize anything, I said. I know, he replied immediately, no hesitation. That's why this didn't stop at the lender. He glanced at the folder but didn't touch it. You should understand something, he continued. Most situations like this end quietly. Families handle it, institutions adjust, paper gets corrected. And this one didn't, I said. No, he agreed. This one didn't. Outside the window, a delivery truck blocked the narrow street, backing up slowly. No one honked. Everyone waited. Benson followed my eyes. Timing matters, he said. That's the part people underestimate. He reached into his jacket, pulled out his phone, and placed it face down on the table. I noticed the case immediately. Same lender branding as the email I hadn't opened yet. You didn't bring that up, I said. No, he replied. I didn't need to. That was the first real shift. What do you want? I asked. He considered that. What I want stopped mattering yesterday, he said. What matters now is what overlaps. Overlaps, I repeated. You triggered more than one review path, he said. They don't usually line up. I waited. Your father's authority is one lane, he continued. Your brother's financial exposure is another. And you? I asked. He smiled thinner this time. I bridged timing, he said. That's all. Bridged was doing a lot of work. My phone buzzed on the table, a number I didn't recognize. Benson glanced at it. That's earlier than I expected, he said. I silenced the phone. What is? I asked. The second contact, he replied. They usually wait until after clarification. That sounds like a problem, I said. It's not a problem, he said. It's acceleration. He stood, already adjusting his jacket. I thought we had more time, I said. So did your father, he replied. That was the second shift. Sit down, I said. He hesitated just long enough to matter, then did. Here's what changes now, he said quietly. People stop coordinating. They start isolating. Meaning statements drift, he said. Memory gets selective. Loyalty becomes expensive. Outside, the delivery truck finally pulled away. Traffic resumed as if nothing had happened. What happens to me? I asked. He studied me carefully. You assumed this would move forward, he said, cleanly. That's how systems work, I replied. No, he said. That's how machines work. I felt it then, not panic, not fear, but recalibration. He stood again. We won't meet again, he said. Not because we shouldn't, because we don't need to. You're sure? I asked. He nodded. After today, everything roots differently. He paused at the table. One more thing, he said. Yes, silence is not delay, he said. It's sorting. Then he left. No handshake, no warning, no reassurance, just absence. By the time I returned to the motel, 3 things had happened. The temporary bank hold had widened, still polite, still procedural, but now touching accounts I hadn't expected. A missed call notification showed my father's name tied to a number I recognized as legal adjacent, and an email waited unread in my inbox. Request for clarification, third-party involvement. I stared at it longer than necessary. Before, everything had felt linear. Now it felt layered. That night, I stayed awake longer than I wanted to admit, not replaying the meeting, reevaluating assumptions. I had believed the system moved like a sequence. Instead, it behaved like an environment, adaptive, selective, indifferent. I thought about my brother, how quiet he'd gone, about my fathers who hadn't called again, about Emily and her husband who had disappeared entirely, and about Benson who had stepped in just long enough to make one thing clear: this was no longer clean. The next morning, silence arrived. No calls, no emails, no updates, just absence. Silence isn't neutral. Silence is something deciding. Up to that point, I believed the system moved forward. I was wrong. Sometimes it pauses long enough for someone close to you to become expendable. The first thing that changed wasn't a call, it was paperwork. Not new paperwork, reactivated paperwork. Forms that already existed, resurfacing with different timestamps. That's how public pressure begins, not loudly, legibly. I noticed it mid-morning, scrolling through a portal I hadn't opened in weeks. Same interface, same layout, different status indicators. Pending review had become under verification, no explanation attached. Just a small icon that hadn't been there before, a request marker tied to an external reference number. Not mine. By noon, the email I'd avoided opening finally forced itself forward, not because it escalated. Because it replicated, same subject line, different sender domain. Request for clarification, third-party involvement. This time there was a deadline, 48 hours. That's not urgency, that's institutional patience. Enough time for cooperation, not enough time for coordination. I called the number attached to the portal update, not to argue, not to explain, just to confirm the pathway. After 2 transfers and 1 deliberate hold, a woman answered who didn't give her last name. She didn't need mine. Your case is now cross-referenced, she said. With what? I asked. She paused, not because she was searching, but because she was choosing language. Multiple records, she said, some of which weren't originally expected to overlap. That word again, overlap. Am I required to submit anything? I asked. Not yet, she replied. This stage is observational. Observational of whom? I asked. She didn't answer directly. Of behavior, she said instead. That afternoon, my brother finally called, not defensive, not panicked, measured. Are you involved with this? He asked. That question mattered, not what happened, not who started it. Involvement. I didn't initiate anything, I said. That's not what I asked, he replied. The line stayed quiet longer than comfortable. You need to understand something, he said carefully. People are asking questions now. Who? I asked. People who don't normally, he said. That was as close to admission as he would come. By evening, the pressure became visible. A certified letter arrived at the house. Not addressed to me, not addressed to my brother. Joint notice. That's how deniability erodes when documents stop choosing sides. The letter didn't accuse, it outlined timeline alignment. Authority clarification, third-party facilitation review. Language so neutral it almost felt apologetic. Almost. I drove by the house again that night, not to confront anyone, to observe. The gate was still locked. Same cheap brass, but the porch light was on now, bright, unnecessary. A signal meant for someone else. I didn't stop, I didn't need to. The next morning, my father called, not from his phone, from an office line. That choice alone told me where he was. We need to talk, he said, not urgently, formally. About what? I asked. There was a pause, shorter than before. About correcting the record, he said. That phrase landed differently now. Records don't correct themselves. They're corrected by whoever still has permission. We met in his office, door open, lights on. A third chair pulled close to the desk that hadn't been there before. He didn't sit behind it. That was new. I didn't expect this to move the way it did, he said, carefully chosen words. I didn't move it, I replied. He nodded. I know, he said, but it moved because of proximity. To what? I asked. To authority, he said. That was the first time he said it out loud. He slid a folder across the desk, not the same one I'd brought to Benson. This one was thinner, curated. These are the documents they're focused on, he said. Right now, I didn't open it. Who is they? I asked. He hesitated. That hesitation mattered more than the answer. Multiple offices, he said. Some internal, some not. Federal? I asked. He didn't deny it. He didn't confirm it either. Which meant the distinction no longer protected him. You need to understand, he said, lowering his voice despite the open door. This doesn't stay contained if it escalates. It already escalated, I replied. He exhaled slowly. Yes, he said, it did. Silence filled the room, not tense, not emotional, procedural. I need you to clarify your role, he said. Publicly, I asked. Formally, he corrected. That was the choice point, not for me, for him. Clarify how, I asked. Distance, he said. Intent, knowledge. Whose, I asked. He didn't answer immediately. Yours, he said finally. That was the moment deniability ended. Not because of accusation, because of allocation, I stood. I won't misstate facts, I said. I'm not asking you to, he replied. Yes, you are, I said. You're asking me to isolate myself so the overlap collapses. He didn't argue. That silence confirmed everything. That afternoon, a notice was posted. Not dramatic, not visible to the public, but visible to the people who mattered. A temporary recusal, voluntary, administrative, preventative, my father's name attached to it. That's how institutions apply pressure without assigning blame. They don't accuse, they remove permissions. By nightfall, the email finally changed tone. Same sender, same subject, different body. Please acknowledge receipt of this request. That's the moment cooperation becomes expectation. I called Benson, not because I needed guidance, because I needed confirmation. He answered on the second ring. It's public now, I said. Yes, he replied. You knew this would happen, I said. I knew it was possible, he corrected. Is this still containable? I asked. There was a pause, not hesitation, calculation. That depends, he said. On what? I asked. On who tries to control the narrative, he replied. Then he added quietly, and who decides not to. That night, I sat with the folder I still hadn't opened. The one from Benson, the one my father never referenced. I opened it finally. Inside were documents I recognized, and one I didn't, a memo, internal, timestamped before everything. It referenced my brother by role, not name. That's how responsibility moves when it expects daylight. I closed the folder. The pressure wasn't theoretical anymore. It was directional. Someone was going to be separated from the story, not by force, by record. When systems lose patience, they don't punish everyone. They choose one version of events and discard the rest. And once that choice is made, someone close to you stops being protected by silence. By the time this part begins, the system is no longer asking questions. That's how I knew it was over. The change didn't announce itself. No alert, no escalation banner, no message asking for confirmation. Just a quiet shift inside the portal, the kind you only notice if you already know where to look. A field that had accepted input the day before no longer responded. No cursor, no options, no ability to interact. Only a single line where motion used to be. Resolved, record finalized. No timestamp. Finalized records don't require one. I refreshed the page once, not because I expected movement. Because after weeks of provisional states, pending, conditional, reversible stillness takes a moment to register in the body. Closure doesn't feel dramatic. It feels like gravity returning. The formal notice arrived later that morning. Not digitally, paper, thick envelope, multiple letterheads sharing space without hierarchy. That detail matters. When systems disagree, they fragment. When they agree, they consolidate. Inside was not a story, no explanation. No justification, no defense, just reconciliation, dates aligned, authorities cross-referenced, permissions clarified, roles assigned. Everything written in past tense, not because time had passed, but because motion had ended. I read it carefully, not for surprise, for exclusion. What wasn't there mattered more than what was. My name appeared twice, once as the initiating reporter, once as a non-participating witness. No qualifiers, no discretionary language. No footnotes, that's how you know a role is fixed. My brother's name appeared once, in a paragraph that began with, based on the available documentation, not alleged, not under review, based. That word doesn't hedge, it anchors. His role wasn't framed emotionally or morally. It was described functionally, outside authorized scope. That phrasing carries weight. 3 pages later, a secondary notice was attached. Different formatting, different department. Same conclusion. Effective immediately, credentialed signing authority is suspended pending reclassification. No appeal language, no duration. Suspension without timeline isn't temporary, it's procedural exile. I understood the implication before finishing the sentence. No contracts, no attestations, no filings, no representation without disclosure. Even if reinstated someday, the record would follow him. Every future review would begin already weighted. That's what permanence looks like when it doesn't raise its voice. My father's name appeared last, not as an actor, as a boundary. Following voluntary administrative recusal, access to discretionary review pathways was removed. No accusation, no rebuke, just subtraction of reach. Institutions don't dismantle legacy, they isolate it. I didn't call anyone. There was no remaining conversation the system would recognize. By afternoon, secondary effects surfaced, not dramatically, incrementally. One bank account returned to normal status. Another remained partially restricted. No error code, no explanation, just reduced capability. That's how systems express continued awareness. An email arrived with a neutral subject line. No urgency, no warning language. Just revised disclosure obligations. I didn't open it. Unread doesn't mean unknown once the record exists. The only phone call I received that day came from a number I hadn't saved. "This is Benson," he said, no greeting. "They closed it," I replied. "Yes," he said. "They did. For good?" I asked. "For the version that matters," he answered. "What happens now?" I asked. "For you?" he said. "Nothing." That wasn't reassurance. That was classification. And for them, a pause, not hesitation. Calculation completed. For them, it becomes maintenance. I didn't ask what that meant. I already knew. Maintenance doesn't end. It just stops being visible. "Did anyone object?" I asked. "No," he said. "That told me everything. People object when ambiguity still exists. Silence means the record already settled the argument." "Why was I insulated?" I asked, not emotionally, procedurally. "You didn't attempt to influence sequence," he said. "That wasn't a compliment, it was eligibility." That evening, I drove past the house. The porch light was off. The flag had returned, different fabric, new stitching. Symbols reappear when people believe scrutiny has passed or when they think it has chosen someone else. I didn't stop. The system had already determined proximity. 2 days later, the public notice posted, buried, unindexed. Routine language, a redistribution of responsibility, no names emphasized, but absences speak loudly when you know how to read them. My brother's designation was replaced, temporary, indefinite. Those words don't contradict each other. Together, they mean you are removed and we are not discussing when. My father never called again, not because of anger, because the system had finished speaking on his behalf. There was nothing left he could authorize. Weeks passed. Nothing happened. This is the part people misunderstand. They expect aftermath. They expect reckoning. Systems don't perform closure. They absorb it. Life continued. Bills cleared. Schedules normalized, but access never returned. One afternoon, a forwarded screenshot arrived. No message, no explanation, an internal note sent to a chain I was no longer part of. Proceed assuming the finalized record is the only admissible version. That's when permanence becomes operational. I deleted the message, not out of fear, out of irrelevance. The story people tell themselves about what happened will vary. Some will say it was exaggerated, some will say it was unfair, some will say nothing really changed. They'll all be wrong. Resolution isn't emotional, it's archival. Months later, Benson called once more, brief, administrative. "I'm closing my file," he said. "You ever reopen it?" I asked. "No," he replied. "Why not?" "Because systems don't revisit what already sorted itself," he said. Then he added, "They just remember who tried to move the record while it was being written." That was the end. No confrontation, no apology, no relief, just a version of events that no one is permitted to contradict anymore. At the beginning, this felt like a dispute, a misunderstanding, a conversation that could still be steered, but systems don't respond to persuasion. They respond to timing, position, and trace, and once the record closes, it doesn't punish. It preserves. Silence stops being protection, proximity stops being neutral, and control becomes a historical claim, not a present one.